Hiya, I just want to say before we get into the video that this is all 100% my opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's fine. Comment and tell me why you disagree with me, or don't. Also, spoilers for the game. Uh, okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. I love you. Is The Legend of Spyro Eternal Night that bad of a game? Yes and no. Eternal Night is the second game in the Legend of Spyro trilogy. Most people that I've spoken to about this game either A, think it's a really bad game, or think it's okay. As for me, I have around 60 hours in the game, even though it only takes 10 to beat. I have a few grudges with this game that we will get into, but first, some background. Released in 2007 by Chrome Studios, the same devs as New Beginning, it follows the story of Spyro and Cinder, but she's mentioned 4 times, and his efforts to stop the Ape King from releasing Malifaux as he plans to release Armageddon on the world. Spyro is voiced by Elijah Wood, again, and Sparks is voiced by Buzz from Honey Nut Cheerios! The game is a close combat platformer. Since Spyro originally was a platformer, it kinda makes sense. And I think the combat is fairly okay in the game. It's definitely not Dawn of the Dragon combat, but it works. The platforming, on the other hand, it's just okay. Some areas just suck, and maybe that's me not being able to tap a button correctly, or maybe it's the game's weird hitboxes, but some jumps I just could not do. It's definitely the weakest of the 3 games. I don't know if they had a tight deadline, but it just feels very unpolished. The writing is pretty good, but gameplay-wise, I just felt agitated and bored. I will say, the first 2 times I played this game, I hated it. I actually disliked playing it. Oh, then why did you proceed to spend another 40 hours on it? Because I needed all the achievements on retro achievements, okay? Leave me alone. Mind your business. And a big portion of that was the hatred for the combat.
My main issue with the combat is that it doesn't have invincibility frames. On my playthroughs at least, I was constantly stuck in a loop of Spyro would get hit, and right after getting hit, another enemy would hit me, causing me to be in this cycle of taking damage and not being able to move. Other than that, the combat is fairly okay. It's not really anything special. Most reviews and player complaints are because of this, with multiple Reddit comments talking about how much they hated the combat in the game. Players complained that the difficulty increase from a New Beginning to Eternal Night was way too drastic. It was way too hard for them as a kid. Even now as a 20-year-old, it took me a while to get through some of the stages. Especially boss fights. For example, the final boss fight. The boss has 3 stages, but 0 checkpoints. So if he was a slither of health away and Spyro got killed, tough luck, you're doing the entire fight again. Another note to be made about the boss fights is how repetitive they are. I mean, currently I'm fighting the assassin. You defeat this guy 3 times in the game. You defeat him multiple times, it's the exact same thing every single time. Not only that, a lot of the boss fights are very similar. I mean, look at this boss fight with Scab. And then look at this one with Goal. I'm not going to say it's the exact same mechanic, but it's very similar to the point where it feels very unoriginal.
Dragon Time is a well-known ability of Spyro's that it... Huh? Oh, it only shows up in this game. And it's never mentioned again. Dragon Time is an ability Spyro gains, allowing him to slow down time, used for platforming and puzzle solving. It's a unique idea, I just think it was a very cheap gimmick added to make levels easier.
Even when John Meadows, the producer of the game, said in an interview with IGN that Dragon Time works by slowing the environment. So yes, it does let you kick some butt. And given the types of butt Spyro is pitted against this time, it's needed to make things fair. In terms of gameplay, this is needed for passing puzzles and combat.
I honestly never used it. Outside of the 1 or 2 instances it's needed.
In my opinion, it just felt kind of useless. It felt as if they put it in as just a quick and easy way to try to balance the game out. Well, it kind of takes away from the fun of the combat when you're trying to combo and attack a bunch of enemies, but you can just slow down time. It could have been good, like everything in this game. The concept was there, I just think it was rushed and not really that thought into. Like, it can make boss fights a lot easier, but it also makes them just not fun.
And before you say it's a game for kids, I think that games for kids need to be challenging in some form so that kids actually lock in and don't just drool all over the controllers. And I don't mean challenging in how the SpongeBob the movie the game did it. I think kids should be challenged, not to be made to stick their head through a wall. I love the elemental breaths. How certain enemies are weaker to certain elements, how you need to use certain elements to get through a level, especially in those element trials and the elemental dragon near the end of the game. I think it's such a clever idea to make the players step out of their comfort zone and make sure they're not just using one element through the entire game. The only issue, just a tiny issue that cost me a good 30 hours of playing. This game has barriers for XP, so if you earn too much XP at a stage, it'll stop you from gaining any more until you get to the next stage, or maybe the stage after. I originally thought that this was a glitch, and that my game had broke. I tried everything. Breaking blue gem clusters, restarting, reloading, nothing would give me XP, not even enemies. It was only when I looked at the game memory and noticed that XP likes to stop at a very specific number that I thought, maybe it's not a glitch. Oh, well, I asked on Reddit and people told me, yeah, probably not a glitch, lol. So if you're hoping to max out all the levels like I did, you're gonna have to complete the game and then start a new game plus to get the remaining XP. Speaking of starting a new game, this game has a total of 50 collectibles. Not that weird considering it's a Spyro game. Only issue is, they're missable. So if you miss one in Pirate's Fleet and didn't realise until you're in the next stage, tough luck. Either reload an earlier save or restart your game. This was a nightmare. Whose idea was it to put collectibles in a game with no backtracking? It made me so infuriated that I stopped playing for 2 months. But if you're not looking to 100% the game, they add nothing. The quills add concept art, and the dragons increase your mana or your health. These can be avoided, they're not really needed. Thankfully, they changed this in Dawn of the Dragon with this level select.
I didn't pay much attention to the story. After having to play the first half like 3 times to get all the collectibles, I kind of switched off. Some people praised the game for its story, saying it's got better pacing than A New Beginning, but many critics said that the story was just kind of pointless. And I kind of agree. It just felt very repetitive. According to Michael Graham, the developer, they were forced to reuse assets from A New Beginning due to time constraints and budget cuts, so they had to alter the story. Perhaps if they had a budget and the time to create the storyline that they wanted, it could have been better. There isn't much to say. Some people like it, some people hate it, but that seems to be a reoccurring theme with this game.
One thing I will give the game credit for is the art. The art in this game is so amazing, and that's thanks to Jared Pullen, who is the lead concept artist behind the first 2 games. Looking at the concept art and the finished art of the enemies and the landscapes, it is beautiful. I'll put up a few photos of the concept art so you can see, but even in the final game, the design of the enemies and the design of the landscape is so goated. It's peak, I'm telling you, it's peak.
So, is The Legend of Spyro Eternal Night that bad of a game? Personally, I don't think so. I came into this absolutely hating the game, but after researching and listening to the people involved with the game talk about it, I think they just had bad luck. The game probably could have been way better if their budget didn't get cut and if they were allowed more time. But there are still some really, really stupid things that are put into this game that I just cannot forgive. Knowing the team was disappointed with their own work kind of speaks for itself. They could have done so much more. They wanted to do so much more. We kind of get to see that in Dawn of the Dragon, with some changes to the game mechanics, and I think it makes the game way more enjoyable than this one.